Hey guys, so I'm kind of sick, but that's okay. So if I cough or I sound weird, I'm all congested. But I haven't done one of these videos in a while, so I'm gonna tell you a story. I'm just gonna tell you a story about little me, and this is about the time that I dated a Marine. So we we matched on Tinder. We talked a little bit. We moved over to Snapchat. We talked a little bit. We texted a little bit. You know, like we just kind of talked. I wasn't really expecting much. He lived in Oxford, so like I live like in Starkville where Mississippi State is, and he lives in Oxford where Ole Miss is, so it's not super far. It's where my brother lives, and my brother comes into the story later. But we were talking, and it was like super late one night. I think it was like almost midnight or something. He was like, "Hey, there's a country concert tomorrow night here. If you want to come with me, I'll buy your ticket, like, and we can like go out." And I was like, first date with this guy, like going to a concert, that sounds kind of cute, like kind of like a nice date. He was like, some of my friends are going, like, you know, it'll just kind of be like a group thing, it'll be kind of fun. I was like, okay, cool, come hang out, go on a date, no big deal. I did have a test the following day, so I was like, hey, I'm gonna have to skedaddle afterwards and get back home because I've got a big test in a class that I was not doing well in. Sign number one, forget boys, study for your test. Study for your test. Oof. Second thing, I don't like country music. But he was cute. So I was like, the things I can get over, my taste in music, okay? So the next day we're talking, I go to school, and afterwards I load up my stuff, and I like head on over to Oxford that night, and we meet up, and we're with one of his friends, and we're just kind of pre-gaming before the concert, and then we go, and he's kind of like being shy, kind of a little bit awkward. He's a pretty tall dude. He was a little thinner, but he's a pretty tall dude, so he's pretty big. And so it was kind of weird for me to kind of be like, in control of this situation because he was pretty awkward kind of little fella. But we get there and we get around all of his friends, and so then he's like, hey, by the way, none of my friends know that I'm bi. And I was like, what? You invited me out. You invited me out in public with your friends to a concert on a date, but we can't be on a date. Okay! You know what? Whatever. You don't want me dancing on you? I'll dance on your friends. And so there were some girls there, and so we just kind of danced with each other. I mean, the music was bad. It was just bad. But I had a good time anyways. After the concert ended, he was like, did you have a good time? I was like, yeah, you know, it was fun. And he took me back to my car, and I was planning on driving back. But then he was like, you know, like, do you want to stay? And I was like, oh, he was like, I don't want you to like stay if you don't want to, but like the option's there, because it was already like 1 a.m. It was super, super late, and I had an hour and a half drive back home. And so I was like, you know what? I'll crash on you. You know what? I'll crash at your place. That's fine. You know, no big deal. So we spend the night together. It's whatever. It's no big deal. But he has PT in the morning. It is so early. My God. So he wakes me up like super freaking early in the morning. I want to say it's like 5 a.m. I go out to my car. He like gives me a kiss goodbye. It's like whatever. And so he gets in his car and he leaves. And I get in my car and I start it and I start to back up. And I'm just like, something doesn't feel right. And so I pull back into my spot and I get out of my car and I look and I have a flat tire. At this boy's apartment complex by myself. He's gone to PT and I have a flat tire. And so I called up my brother literally like 5 a.m. in the morning, and I'm just like, hey, I did a thing, and I was with a boy last night, and I'm in your town. Can you come get me? He was not happy. I never gave him a name. Let's call him Lyle. We can call him Lyle. Lyle is at PT, and like I just go crash on my brother's couch. I'm sleeping. I'm just like, you know, eventually he'll come get me, and I'm sitting here freaking out because I'm like, I have this test. I have this test later today. I've got my computer open. I'm studying for it after I wake up a little bit more. I slept until like 7 or something, and so like I'm trying to study, and then Lyle like calls me. He's like, hey, like what's going on? Like I saw your car is like still at my place, and I was like, yeah, I have a flat tire, and I was hoping you could be boy of the year and come help me get a new tire because I can't go anywhere. Get the tire off. We go to Walmart. We get them to replace the tire, and then that takes forever. This is actually the cute part of the story. So while they're changing my tire, he's like, you know, like, you want breakfast? We can go get some donuts. So he takes me to get donuts, and then we drive like 15 minutes out to this lake, and he like backs up his truck, and we get in the back of the truck, and we've got donuts, and we're just literally it's so cute. It was cold outside, and so we were like snuggled up together, but it was so cute just like sitting out by this lake on the back of a truck, eating donuts, and it was romantic. It was really, really romantic, and it was a really nice morning, besides me having a flat tire and me not studying for my test. We get my tire, we put it on my car, I'm just like, alright, I got a jet because I have got a test to get to. He was like, okay, bye. I passed that test. I did. I didn't fail. Never choose boys over your academics. And so he texted me and he was like, hey, so like, you know, are you coming back anytime soon? And I was like, oh, I just came to Oxford. And my brother had also been asking me to come play video games with him and come hang out with him, and I didn't get to spend time with him, and I felt bad because he did come save my butt. Friday I went back and I stayed with my brother, and we were hanging out, you know, playing video games all night. I stayed the night, and then the next morning I woke up, you know, and I was texting Lyle, and he was like, hey, like, do you want to go out with me and my friends tonight? And I was like, oof. I was like, go out in Oxford. That sounds pretty fun. And I was like, hey, bro, like, you want to go? Like, he was like, I don't want to crash your date. I was like, that's fine. That's fine. I understand that one. Lyle comes over and he meets my brother, and me and my brother playing video games, and Lyle's just kind of chilling on the couch, whatever. Eventually we get up and leave, and I was expecting to go out, party, and then come back to my brother's and be with my brother the rest of the night. And that's not what happened. We went to his buddy's place, and I loved his buddy. His buddy is incredible. We can call him Pete. We'll just call him Pete. So we go to Pete's place, and I meet a bunch of his friends. I see some of them that I saw last night and a bunch of new ones. And eventually, like, you know, we're talking, having a good time. A few people here know that he's bi, so it was better because he was already starting to get a little bit drunk, and so he was kind of being a little bit handsy. And I was like, yeah, I'm not the one who has a problem with this. You're the one that has the problem with this, and I don't know if this is okay or blah. This is the problem you're gonna run into when you have a closeted boy that wants to take you out around his friends. So eventually, a bunch of them are like, we're gonna go to the liquor store, we're gonna go get some more booze, and there were literally like 3 of us left. It was me, Pete, and this girl that I had been dancing with last night. They all came back, and Lyle was drunker than he was when he left, and I was like, oh boy. And I was like, he wasn't like obnoxious, but it was just like, whoa. It was like, you sir, have alcohol in your body. So we go out in the bars in a couple different groups. I don't see Pete the rest of the night, and I was upset because I was expecting, he promised to dance with me at one of the clubs, and he never showed up, and he never got to dance with me, so I was sad about that. We go upstairs, and I'm dancing with some of the girls, and I grab Lyle, and I'm like, hey, like, come dance with me, because originally, when he invited me out, he was like, hey, like, you want to go out to the bars, and we can go dancing. And I think I forgot to say that earlier, because that's a really, really big part of this. So he invited me out to go dancing with him, and I was like, yes. He sits down, and I'm just like, hey, come dance with me. He's like, I don't dance. So who am I supposed to dance with? Myself? No. I start dancing with his friends. Some of the girls that I'd been dancing with last night, we're having a good time. I'm bitter about the fact that he's not dancing with me. And I try to get him up a couple other times and he just won't. He's also in a drunken stupor, slouched up against this counter. I think it's time that we go. We'd been there for a couple hours and it was a good time. So we left, we went back to one of his friend's house. I wasn't super psyched about going back to his friend's house because that meant I was sleeping on a couch. Actually, I was gonna sleep in the guest bedroom with Lyle, but he was drunk, and I was like, I'm not about this, and I was just super hot, and I was just not feeling it, so I went downstairs and slept on the couch, because Lyle had also gotten super, super depressed, because here's the kicker. Leading up to our first date, it wasn't until the day of that concert that I found out that he had a kid, a whole kid! They didn't tell me about until I was, like, about to head to Oxford for our first date, and I was just like, bro, like, I feel like transparency is a good pattern here. It didn't bother me per se. I'm not really ready to be a dad. But also, like, I was just like, what? And after we got back to his friend's house, like, he was super upset with his relationship with the baby mama. He was super upset that he didn't get to spend enough time with his kid. I don't know how to handle this. Lyle did not want to talk to me about it. He did not want me involved with any of it. And I was like, okay. So the next morning, he was super weird and not really talking to me. And I was like, you know what? Like, whatever. He took me back to my car at my brother's place. Here's a piece that just still pisses me off. He drops me off at my brother's place, and I get out of the car. Like, I give him a kiss goodbye. I get out of the car, and before I even make it to the sidewalk in front of my brother's apartment complex, he's driving away. Boy, I don't know about you guys, but when I drop someone off, I wait until either A, they get to the stairs, or B, they get to the door. I mean, he was driving away. Okay, so you invited me to your buddy's place and left me there. You got drunk while I wasn't around and then came back being handsy, but also got upset when I was being a little handsy. You invited me out dancing and did not dance with me. You got super upset about the kid that you originally didn't tell me about and then wouldn't talk to me the rest of the night. And then you drove away like super, super fast without even waiting for me to get to the sidewalk. After I got home, like, he texted me a little bit and I was just like, I'm not really feeling this. We just stopped talking, and I didn't go on another date with him. I didn't talk to him. Fast forward a year, and I think he super liked my twin brother. And so this is to tell anyone that ever thinks about trying to message both twins, it's not gonna work. We communicate with each other. We do. We have this thing called texting. So overall, it was a really short, brief week of dates. That the first date, I will say, like the morning after date when he took me to get donuts and took me out to the lake, that was super cute and stuff. But for the rest of the behavior, I was like, I'm not about this. So that's the story of the time that I dated a Marine. So that's gonna wrap up that story time. A couple other announcements for you guys. I'm opening back up my P.O. box, so that link is gonna be down below if you want to like send me any letters or stuff. I really love getting like poetry and stuff, so if you want to send me poetry, like I would love your stuffs. I'm also reopening my Patreon account. I know it's not for everybody, but if you do want to help me out and help me out with a lot of my projects and a lot of my artistic stuff that I'm doing, you can go on over. My Patreon link is going to be down below as well. And so for the different tiers, there's different rewards on my Patreon, and like one of them is like some poetry that I can write for you, another one is like some photography I can do for you, and another one is even like a draft of some of my screenplays. So if you want to see like what I'm working on or like have a say and maybe like some suggestions on my screenplays, you can definitely kind of go there as well, because I've got a bunch of ideas that I've just never really... I've started on a bunch of ideas that I don't know that I'm going to be able to do by myself. So that's just kind of just letting you guys know if you want to go out. There's the link to my Patreon and my P.O. box. So I want to get more involved and more connected with you guys. I feel like I've gotten a little distant. So we're going to bring it back in. We're going to bring it back in, right? There's my date with the Marine, some announcements for you guys, and I'm headed to hip hop class, so I'll see you guys later.